Welcome back to Smooth Traffic. This is episode 27. 27 being the number of World Drivers' Championships Lewis Hamilton has won in his dreams. On this episode, we've got the return of Deadliest Boot Spaces, my trip from Dubrovnik to Mostar in the new Nissan Micra, Rob King and some love advice, some food talk, and an item of furniture I found in a bathroom in Europe. What could that be? Now, lots of you know me as somebody who's quite outspoken and a bit silly when it comes to cars and life. But...
What?
Yeah, didn't you know? No?
Never realised.
Oh, well, where have you been? But there is a serious side to me because I am an admirer of fine art. I have been to the Louvre once and I walked around and looked at some very, very nice paintings, and I thought the Mona Lisa was overrated, which basically makes me an art critic. And a new urban artist has caught my eye, and his name is Wanksy. Now, what Wanksy specialises in is drawing large penises around potholes on the roads of Britain. And it's a fantastic comment on the state of modern society, masculine kind of vulnerability, and the state of our appalling road network. And nothing gets the councils to cover potholes quicker than giant penises on the road, because it reminds the Tory councils of all the animals they had to fuck back at university. So it's really an ingenious scheme. And Wanksy, I salute you. I love your work. It's inspiring, and it's made me want to get spray paint and also draw penises on things, mostly Kingy and Benny's property.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you know how to work a spray can, to be honest, so I'm feeling quite safe.
As far as I know, a spray can is like a point and squeeze, isn't it?
Yeah, don't you use roll-on deodorant, though?
Keeps getting it in his eyes.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, I reckon, I don't know. I mean, does he use a spray can? I don't know if he does use a spray can. Maybe he's an artist and he kind of has an easel and a big brush. Because he's only got one
paint on the road.
Yeah, he's only got one colour
on canvas, is it?
Just slop a load of white paint on a big piece of wood, and then you're an artist, aren't you? Not just a graffiti artist, an actual artist. Because you can't be a proper artist unless you've got an easel. I think that's how it works.
Ooh, new theory. He's actually a painter and decorator, and he's just got a roller and a template of a penis. He just lays the template on the floor, runs the roller over it a couple of times, job done.
Job done.
Banksy is a stencil artist, isn't he? So, that works.
See? Boom. Banksy is a painter and decorator. Bum bum bum.
What if Banksy is actually Wanksy? No?
Moving
on.
on.
No one going for that?
So what point are you making, Johnny?
Basically, I want everyone who's listening to this podcast to go out and buy some paint and draw penises all over the road.
Specifically where there are potholes, though, yeah?
Not really. Just anywhere on the road, I think. It'll galvanise the people. It'll be, a great social thing everybody can do in the evenings together, because the world is so full of doom and gloom, and, nuclear war is sort of bubbling away in the background now. So why don't we all just go out and get a load of paint and draw penises and everything while we still can?
I'd like to distance myself from this.
These are not the views for every member of Smooth Traffic.
Yeah, this is basically inciting some kind of social uprising.
Yes. Yes.
And when that uprising is put down and you're burned at the stake, John...
No, that won't happen.
I'd like to be clear that I didn't share your views on this.
No, I'm like V from V for Vendetta. P for Penisetta.
But you were terribly burned?
No. I mean, not yet. But I might if I don't use the spray can properly. Can you get burned from paint?
You could, John. You'd find a way.
If you are a paint expert, please do tweet us at Smooth Traffic, because we'd like to know if you can get burned by paint. Now then, I'm sure some of you know, Kingy and Benny definitely know, that recently I've been on a bit of adventure around Europe, and Kingy has said I'm only allowed to talk about the following subject if I can somehow link it back to cars, which, of course, I absolutely can. Now, if you own a classic car, at least once a year, you'll probably have what's called a deep clean. During that deep clean, you will prepare said car for possibly an extended hibernation period, or possibly just to clean the whole thing up and make it as good as new.
I don't like the way that I know where this is going.
Yeah.
And this made me think about my time in Europe, because during my time in Europe, I had my first experience of a Bidit. Now, a Bidit is an item of furniture normally located in a European bathroom that is used exclusively for cleaning the bum pipe. Now, normally I wouldn't be that interested in this sort of thing, but having had the chance to experiment with a Bidit, I can confirm it is exceptionally useful as a tool, and it makes you feel as good as new. It is the human equivalent of a classic car deep clean. Discuss.
I think you mean disgust.
How deep a clean were you getting from that? Because I'm not sure. It's not proper.
It was thorough.
Irrigation.
It wasn't that bad, because the tap isn't angled that way. Ben, you've been to Europe. I know you've been on a Bidit before, but it kind of
Yeah, exactly. It's for washing your feet in, John.
No, it isn't. It's for washing the bum pipe, and it's very, very good. And I just think, why don't we have them in the UK? Why? There's no excuse. It makes everything different and better.
I always assumed that's what Rob had a loofah in the shower for. That's what I use it for.
Oh, dearie me. But yeah, so, if you've got a classic car, you deep clean it probably once a year. People like Adam Tudor Lane will know about that. He probably deep cleans his Peugeot and his Clio and, tries to scrape the rust off it once a year. So, maybe once a year, we British people should go to Europe, like I have, to use the exceptional service that a Bidit can provide, and just make you feel as good as new. Honestly, it's great. I don't know why we don't have them here. I don't understand why we don't have them here. They are brilliant. At first, it's a bit strange, I'll give you that. It's a bit strange, and I had to get used to altering the temperature, because I didn't know that they actually had temperature settings, but apparently they do. It's a bit of a sort of, it's a bit like a kitchen tap. You sort of mix the temperatures a bit. Because if you put too much hot on, you're just going to burn your hands when you do the washing up, aren't you? So you want to have a little bit of cold, a little bit of warm. It's a bit like that with a Bidit. But yeah, once I got used to that, great, brilliant tool, and I think we should get them over in the UK.
So would you get one for an add-on for, say, a Rolls Royce? I'm sure it must be available.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone does a poo in a Rolls Royce. I think if you... No. I think if you're...
Else in them.
Yeah, but if you're rich enough to own a Rolls Royce, you probably are rich enough to avoid pooing. I don't think rich people poo, Ben.
They probably have a man for that.
Yeah, I reckon so. I don't think they need to associate themselves with that. I think it's only us normal people that poo. A bit like girls don't fart. Similar thing. So, if you've been following me on Twitter in the last month or so, I would say, because I actually don't know how long I've been away for at this present time, you'll have noticed that I went to Croatia with Nissan to drive the new Nissan Micra. And, it didn't really go to plan, so I had to stay there a little bit longer to give it a more thorough test. Day one, I had to go on an aeroplane and had to take my flying medicine, because me and aeroplanes, we just don't mix. So, no driving for me on the first day. Overnight, there was a snowstorm, the first snowstorm in Dubrovnik in 15 years, and that meant no driving on the second day. So I asked Nissan very kindly if I could stay for a few more days and catch the flight back to Italy with the Italian journalists. So I had a couple of extra days in Croatia to do what no other British journalist has done and actually give it a good long-range test. So I had an idea when I was out there, and it was a bit dodgy, actually. I went from Dubrovnik in sort of on the Croatian coast, the Dalmatian coast, I think it's called, King. You know about your geography, don't you? And I decided to drive it from Dubrovnik, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, to Mostar in Bosnia-Herzegovina, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So I've done the first ever new Nissan Micra road trip. So forget Autocar think they've done it first. No. I did it first. So you know what, Autocar? Up yours. So yeah, I took a Micra. Nissan said we strongly advise you not to go to Bosnia because you'll be out of range of our support teams. The guys who look after the cars on the launches and stuff, make sure they're filled up, repair anything that happens to them, that kind of thing. And it's a bit dodgy. And, well, they were right. Dubrovnik, absolutely fine. Drove through Croatia. Lovely roads, actually. Up high in the mountains, twisting mountain roads. It was cold still. It was still very cold. There was a bit of snow and ice left over, so it was a bit slippery. But there is some spectacular views on the Dalmatian coast of the islands and the Mediterranean down there. And it's a really, really nice place to drive, actually. Not what I was expecting. My route was a bit tricky, though, because between Dubrovnik and Mostar in Bosnia, you have to cross the border about 3 times because of the way that the Balkans were separated at the end of the war in the 90s. So I had to go through several border crossings with Bosnian and Croatian guards, who, some were nice, some were not so nice. The Bosnians in particular were quite aggressive. But, to be fair to them, I was a UK national driving a Spanish registered car through 2 countries in the Balkans. So I can see why they would ask questions, except they didn't ask questions, they just grunted at me and closed windows on me and just made me feel a bit worried, really.
It might have just been your face they didn't like, though, to be fair.
To be fair, that has happened before. And, you know,
Really?
Yeah, I'm the first to admit my face has caused problems in the past. I don't know what to do about it. I'm sorry.
A bag.
But and that's why I do a podcast. So there we go. But yeah, though the Micra was a really, really good car. The Nissan have absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I actually think it's my favourite sort of B segment sort of super mini car now. Has a fantastic sound system, which Ben would absolutely love. It's a special Bose system designed specifically for the Micra.
Really?
Yeah,
That's quite cool.
With Nissan taking creative lead on it as well. So when Bose had some suggestions, Nissan said, yeah, okay, we like this, we don't like that. And the result is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's some really nifty features on it as well, such as you can change the way the sound is being fired around the car and stuff.
Is this an add-on or is this a standard?
This is going to be an option, so it's something you'll have to pay a bit more for, but it is absolutely worth it because there is nothing really like that in that segment, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, it's a really, really neat system, and we tried. I had a demo with the Bose guys at the hotel a couple of times just to sort of, you know, because they've got their demo tracks, and I spoke to the guy who did the sort of sound engineering on the car and stuff, and listened to some great tracks that really showed off the Ben, you know about music. You know, what's it called when you finish it really nicely? The production. That's what it's called, isn't it? When you do the production, when it's all like when you spend lots of money on the production, and everyone says, "Oh, they spent lots of money on the production, so it's really good." That, and basically, you can hear the quality of the production really, really well on that sound system, and it's great. But the car is so good as well. I mean, I took the diesel to Mostar in Bosnia. Because it was about the car that had about the right range. It's about a 4.5-5 hour drive altogether. For various reasons, I got lost in Bosnia.
No.
Yep.
You?
Yeah.
A man who is fluent with maps?
Yep. No. No. Got out of my car a couple of times in Bosnia as well. Yeah,
it was risky.
Yeah, it was. I got out of the car just after I went into Bosnia to take a picture of the new Nissan Micra with the "Welcome to Bosnia-Herzegovina" sign, and a soldier ran out of a hut and told me to go away quickly and stop taking pictures. So that was my first welcome to Bosnia. So I just jumped in the car and said bye-bye and just drove off very, very quickly. But I wasn't put off.
You probably thought you were a spy.
I mean, I might be. Who knows? Even
You'd be a
know.
terrible spy.
Maybe. We're never going to know, are we? Yeah, Bosnia was frightening. Croatia is quite modern. It's mostly been rebuilt from, you know, the terrible events of the breakup of the old Yugoslavia back in the late 80s, early 90s. It's got a very resortish feel to it on the Dalmatian coast around Dubrovnik, as you would expect. There's some beautiful little towns on the seaside. Bosnia is completely different. Bosnia feels like the war ended 5 minutes ago. There is still quite widespread areas of just destruction, I would say. There's still a real risk of landmines, from what I can understand. There is ruined buildings. When I was in Mostar, which is famous for the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is the Ottoman Bridge. The original Ottoman Bridge from the 16th century was blown up in the 1993 siege, but they've rebuilt it. The thing is, they haven't rebuilt most of the town around it. So, although it's by no means a complete wasteland, there are still things, for example, like shelled out blocks of flats in the city centre. The multi-storey car park that was famous for being a sniper position in the war is still covered in bullet holes and blown chunks out of it, shell damage, that kind of thing from, tank fire, bombs, those sorts of things. If you take a walk around the old town of Bosnia, you can still buy war memorabilia, such as gas masks, bullets, AK-47 parts, that kind of thing. Very, very, very morbid. But by far and away, the saddest thing I saw whilst I was in Bosnia, apart from the men who were missing limbs, was a football pitch with the goals still erected and the stand half falling down on one side, but the football pitch was basically a forest. But you could still see the goals were up. And I can only think that's probably because whoever occupied it, whatever forces occupied it at the time, because the forces and the occupations were changing all the time in that war, probably mined the football pitch. And I don't think they've got the resources to go back in and clear it. And there's things like fields, like vast fields that look like they go on for kilometres, which is just full of metal and rubble and just bits. And the whole place has got a very, very sad feel to it. So I got there, took some pictures of the bridge, helped out a British girl who I met there as well, who was travelling by herself, which was an extraordinarily brave thing to do because Bosnia did not seem like a very welcoming place. Got her back safely and then dashed back to Croatia as quick as I could. But on the way back, another snowstorm came in on the mountains. So I was going around some of the corners on the mountains and the car was sort of sliding around. But Nissan has got this new sort of safety system in the car that helps the car... I probably should read press packs more carefully. Anyway, let me give you to it basically, without all the jargon and all the computery talk bollocks. It stops the car crashing. And it did a very, very good job on the mountain roads when I was drifting sideways a couple of places. It would the car would start drifting sideways because the road was sort of snow and ice, and then it would just sort of settle back in again. All I had to do was keep my foot in. It was very, very clever, and it worked really, really well. And there's no other way you can really test that sort of system when you're on a car launch, unless you've got special facilities like a test track or something, or you're unlucky enough to be in the mountains and have a snowstorm hit in a Mediterranean resort, which I was twice. So, really, really impressed with the new Micra. Amazing car. I am going to write a full, proper, nice article about Dubrovnik to Mostar and back in the new Nissan Micra, and I'm going to get it published on a website, and it's going to be a good website. So keep an eye out for that. I will tweet, as and when I have done it, basically. But it deserves a good article. And I now am the only man in the world who has ever driven the new Nissan Micra in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Right then, chaps. I am now going to blend two of Smooth Traffic's favourite segments together, because I'm going to talk about crazy add-ons for cars and also the Smooth Traffic 5-car garage.
Oh.
Yeah, you should be excited, Ben.
I'm not sure I like where this is going.
So the other day I stumbled upon a short article on the Goodwood website about Rolls-Royce and their bespoke features, or rather what the Goodwood website considered their 6 wackiest bespoke features of 2016. Now, I'm sure we're all aware that if you buy a Rolls-Royce, basically you commission them to make you a car. So suggesting that they provide add-ons, it's not really the same as any other manufacturer. It's very much a case that they will make what you want, really. So anyway, so this article, which we'll tweet out a link to it, but it includes things like a champagne shelf in the boot for when obviously you've been out on a long day of touring and you think that maybe you and your travelling chums need to have a quick bottle of bubbly just to see the day off.
Less of an add-on, more of a necessity, really. But
precisely. You see, Ben gets it. Then there are things like simulated tiger fur trim, which was specifically made for an entrepreneur in the Far East who wanted a tiger fur look on the rear centre console of his...
You mean somebody who owns a large prostitute ring in the Far East? Because that only a pimp would have fake tiger fur.
Yeah, so there's that. There are other things, sort of detailing on the seats, blue magpie, things like that. There's one Rolls-Royce that has been decked out to look like a boat. So obviously it's all sort of wood cladding.
What's
very
the point of that?
Theme.
Why don't you just buy a boat? If you've got enough money to buy that car, you might as well.
Can't use a boat on the
no,
motorway.
this is to drive to the boat in. So, you're already in boating mood, I presume. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm no expert. But anyway, the one that caught my eye was the fact that Rolls-Royce have developed a number of bespoke colours for one customer / car collector, a gentleman by the name of Michael Fuchs, who is from the United States of America.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. Great name.
So he's had a couple of rolls made for him. I think it's like 5 or 6 he's got now.
Right. I had a roll made for
and
me
a couple
once.
of years ago, they made one in a red colour that he asked for, and they named the colour Fuchs Candy Red. And then this year he's had a brand new Rolls-Royce Dawn convertible, which I'm sure John will approve of.
Good car.
And he's had it in a shade of blue, which Rolls-Royce had never used before. And that colour is now reserved exclusively for his use, and it's called Fuchs Blue. So, that got me onto thinking, well, what's the deal with this Michael Fuchs chap? So I had a look at him, because he's a big car collector. He owns around about 130 cars. And this is what leads me on to the 5-car garage question. In so much as, how many cars is too many cars?
That's a good question, King.
Very valid question.
Because obviously, we're talking about making a 5-car garage of the 5 cars that you would absolutely need.
Yes.
If money was no object, and you were being sensible about the fact that you don't need a car for every day of the year. Hence, 5-car garage. But this man has 130 plus cars. Now that got me thinking, well, is that excessive? But then I actually started reading about him, and he's actually a really decent chap by the sounds of it. And he's always sending his cars off for charity events on display. They draw huge crowds. Obviously, money goes in the pots for the charities. And in fact, his intention is that eventually the cars will form part of a museum, and all the admission proceeds for said museum will go to the Miami Children's Hospital in Florida.
Okay. That's nice.
So I'd gone from saying he's got too many cars to thinking actually probably one of the nicest things you could possibly do with all of that money. Any opinions on this? How many cars is too many? Irrelevant of the fact of what you do with them, once you're gone.
Well, I've definitely had a few more ideas for cars that, we could put in the 5-car garage.
Okay.
By expanding the garage into possibly a small warehouse. So, something like the perfect car to go to a track day in, or the perfect car to go and see Vladimir Putin in. Things like that. Or the perfect car to own if you're going to burn your house down because you want to claim insurance money fraudulently. Things.
More on that later.
Things like that. So I've had some extra ideas for the 5-car garage, but
okay.
as far as I was aware, the door was closed and the keys had been thrown into the smooth traffic vault. And who's been down there? I don't think any of us have been down there.
I don't know how to get down there. We built the vault, and then I don't think we actually built any stairs down there. So there's just a little hole that you sort of drop things through. And
so we're gonna have to get a rope ladder or something. That's where all my press packs and USB sticks from launches go. So it'll be in there somewhere probably. So yeah, I guess we could get a rope ladder and try and find the keys and open the garage up again. But how dangerous is that?
Maybe it's something for consideration in the near future.
Yeah, Ben's a considering kind of person because he sits here for long periods of time in utter silence. I think it's because he's always considering something.
Considering how his life has got to this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he's talking to you and I.
Or how to kill Jonny quietly without anyone noticing.
Well, yeah, I could get on board with a smooth traffic car warehouse rather than a 5-car garage.
I think once you get above 10 or 12 cars, that's getting a bit daft, isn't it? Can you really enjoy that many cars?
Yeah, but Foxy has 130, Ben.
Yeah, he's got a 30,000 square foot garage at his home, which is called the Horsepower Farm.
I just think he probably hasn't driven half of them. Can't remember when he last drove some of them. I suppose if he's got them to look at, hasn't he? Like you might collect, I don't know, like corgi cars or something, or models of cars. Whereas this guy just has millions of pounds, so buys the full size version.
I suppose this is where you start questioning, though, obviously, because he's classed as a collector. But yeah, at what point do you stop being? I don't want to say stop being an owner, because he owns everything. But at what point do you stop being an owner of X number of cars and start being a collector?
Yeah, so when's it your fleet to enjoy, and when's it you've just got them there to look shiny in your house?
Well, yeah, because I mean, a lot of his cars, beyond the rollers, he's got them in very bright and occasionally leery colours, and he's got a few sort of GT cars and things like that. So he's got a real range of all sorts. But yeah, it's that question of at what point does it become a collection rather than just your fleet.
It must be. I wonder what people make of it when they're these people from Rolls-Royce that are handcrafting a car for a guy like this, thinking that no one's really going to enjoy it. It's just going to sit in a warehouse and be looked at. I'd like to think that if I was making a car, that somebody would actually drive it.
No. No, because it's never.
Apparently, John's not having that.
It's never the same, is it? Like when you get a new car, it's only ever perfect for the first time you get in it and drive it, and then after that you start leaving crisps and things in it. So I can see why Rolls-Royce might be thinking, well, at least this is never going to have some hula hoops, discarded in the carpet. Hate it when that happens.
To be fair, you're not wrong. Because I mean, when I first got the Mito, I to be fair, I did go quite a while before I actually ate anything in it, because I was desperate to not make too much of a mess of it on the inside.
It might be full of wrappers, but there's never a crumb has hit the floor of your car. I don't believe you've wasted a single crumb. In fact, I'm surprised you don't eat the wrappers as well, to be honest.
That means a lot, Ben, thanks.
This is the man who ate basically an inch of butter off a Welsh cake thing because Jonny thought it was clotted cream.
It looked like clotted cream, though. I mean, what butter looks all like textured on the top like that? That's not right, is it?
I just love the way that when you realised it wasn't clotted cream, Rob still ate it. Probably will die a few years younger for it.
Yeah, but think of the happiness he's provided.
That and the XXL Viennetta,
You're a true hero.
Thank you.
So, would you like Kingy to do another food challenge? If so, tweet us at Smooth Traffic, because Kingy is always on the verge of doing one. What was it the other day we were talking about, King, and was it ice cream again or something, or was it cakes? And I said there's no way you could eat a whole pack of them, and you just laughed. Just like that, yeah. I don't
know what it was, John.
But anyway,
I don't even know when it was.
There's plenty of food challenges still to be done, I think, King. And if it helps us shorten your life, I think that can only be a good thing.
How's that quiet contemplation working on shortening John's life, Ben?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay, so the other day we were talking on Twitter about things. I think it was classic cars, because I really, really, really want a Lancia Fulvia, because it's the most beautiful car ever made, and I will get one day. And I was talking to a couple of guys from Italy. I was talking to Dara McKenna, who I think's lived in Italy and is now in Dublin at the moment, and Matteo Licata, I think, who actually lives in Barcelona, but I think he's from Turin. And we were just talking about you can get a really cheap Fulvia for probably like £7,000 or £8,000 out there, which is amazing. And these are exceptional cars, built to a very high standard, incredibly beautiful. I think I'll go and get one day. Just need to get, paid properly. But talking about Italian cars obviously makes me think of two things. One is Robert King, because Robert King is obsessed with Italian cars, mostly Alfa Romeos, mostly bad Alfa Romeos. But also, with Italian cars, you get that problem that you also get with French cars, which is, you don't know if they're going to work all the time. And I started talking to Kingy about this, and he has a revolutionary theory on how cars work and how they keep working. Isn't that right, King?
Well, I don't think it's revolutionary, per se.
Definitely is.
If anything, it's probably tantamount to witchcraft or something similar to that, really. It's a very old-fashioned way of looking at things. But it was actually because we were talking about your BMW initially, John. That's what started our conversation off. in so much that you said that when you'd driven it the other day, it had given you a bit of jip, sort of getting going first. And I said it was because obviously it had seen you driving that bright red Audi, and that had therefore made your BMW jealous.
Yes.
And all I'm saying is, obviously, when you own a car, you put part of yourself into that car, and similarly, part of that car, its soul sort of feeds into you. So you know, it kind of becomes sort of a sort of symbiotic relationship between you and the car. And I firmly believe that you have to treat your car right in order for it to reciprocate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So, you know, you don't let your car see you driving other cars. You treat your car with respect. I mean, I'm not saying you go out to the car and say good morning to it or anything like that. But, you know, in terms of you know, whether the car will work today, you know, you just need to get in with the right positive attitude and be like, yeah, you know, we're ready to go. You just put the key in, bang, starts first time, no problem. And that's because you're making an effort to ensure that your car is happy, and therefore you will be happy.
So is this similar to how we're not allowed to show Ben's fiancée pictures of Ben with strippers? Because she would get upset and possibly break Ben down?
No, not really. Because obviously that's...
You're not good enough on Photoshop to do that, John.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first point. But
or am I?
No, I suppose, yeah, the obvious analogy would be to compare it to, you know, you're basically saying that you should treat a car like you would treat a woman. But then some people don't treat women properly, so that's probably not the best way to go.
And Johnny certainly wouldn't have 4 cars.
That is a very valid point.
Touche, Ben.
Skateboard.
Still go fast with a skateboard. And you can grind as well. And do rad melon flips.
Yeah. So yeah, the point is, treat your car as you'd like to be treated yourself. I'm pretty sure that's in some religious text somewhere as well.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
Everything will just work out fine. You know, just got to give it a bit of love.
So what happens when you need to test drive a new car, King?
What do you mean, what happens when you need to test drive a new car?
Well, like, when you change your car, does that mean I'm going to have to give you a lift to test drive that new car because you can't allow your Alfa Romeo to see you or even know about you potentially buying another car?
No, because it knows that I'm only trying it. It doesn't think, you know, he's now left me here to be replaced.
I'm not sure if that would work with women, would it? I'm just trying out a different one.
Yeah, so clearly the analogy with women doesn't really work.
Yeah, but, you know, I think you've got a point, King. In by, you need to treat your car with a certain degree of respect. But, you know, what if you're in my position and you can't treat them with respect? And you do go around with other cars, and you do take them out for a weekend.
But you said to me, John, that you don't feel any investment in your BMW.
Not particularly, no. I don't.
Which makes me think that you don't really understand what I'm getting at.
And you need to end your relationship with your BMW.
I do need to end my
that too.
relationship with the BMW.
If it's not working, it's what's best for the both of you. You're just being selfish.
Think so.
I feel we need to have a new segment where people phone in and talk to us about how they've fallen out of love with their car, and we need to talk them through it.
Relationship advice.
Rob King's Love Asylum.
So yeah, if you have fallen out of love with your car, please do tweet us at Smooth Traffic. We'd love to have you on, and we'll try and talk you through this difficult time in your life. And John will probably just take the piss out of you.
Definitely. Welcome back. You're in a game show studio, and you are watching or listening to
Deadliest Boot Spaces.
Smooth Traffic's greatest ever game show series. And today we have something a little bit different. Because the internet is complicated, I have found some alternative figures for the Nissan L Grand and the Mazda Bongo Friendly. Boot spaces? No boot spaces today. We're asking, which has the deadliest fuel tank? Is it the Nissan L Grand or the Mazda Bongo Friendly? 2 of Japan's weirdest vehicles that for some reason people just buy loads of and import them It's very strange. Normally,
was it that difficult to find the actual boot space numbers?
Impossible. Actually impossible. Normally, the people who buy cars like this are the people who burn their own houses down to claim insurance money. That's the type of people who buy cars like this. So,
oh my.
So yeah, have a guess. Nissan Elgrand or Mazda Bongo Friendly, which has the deadliest fuel tank?
Can I ask one question, John?
Go on then.
When you say the deadliest fuel tank, are we still basing this on litres per death of water, or are we doing litres of petrol per death?
Litres of water per death.
Okay, because I was going to say it'll be a lot less petrol.
Yeah. I mean, the people who've burnt their own house down to claim insurance money, they're trying to run their cars on water because they don't want to spend money while they're waiting for the insurance money to come through.
Of course.
So they're trying to make these V6 people carriers from Japan run on water instead. So yes, it is actually water.
So how many people can you get in the Bongo?
Loads.
Which is fractionally less than quite a lot of the other car.
Yeah. In an Elgrand you can fit tons of people in there, but in a Mazda Bongo Friendly, I think you can just get loads.
Yeah, well, I quite like a Bongo, so I'm inclined to go with the Bongo.
I'm happy to go with the Nissan on the basis that it's big and square and doesn't have a tent coming out of its roof.
But it does weigh about 2 tons and have like a 3.6 litre engine or something, doesn't it? So
yeah, and therefore there must be a reason for that weight. It's because of the massive fuel tank.
Can I just say, before we go into this, somebody is going to tweet us and go, "Oh, it's really easy to find the facts on the Nissan Elgrand or the fucking Mazda Bongo Friendly." Sod off. Sod off. Get a life.
For a good 30 seconds to a minute and couldn't find it.
Yeah,
So
if I can't find it in 2 minutes, I'm not looking any further. I'm sorry.
in
Tough luck.
traffic, that is the top amount of preparation that we do. 2 minutes per item.
So yeah, if the audience don't like this and the figures are wrong or not what they found, sod off. Anyway, back to the game show.
Tweet us at Smooth Traffic.
Or actually, no, just tweet Jonny at the Jonny Edge.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, back to the game show.
So Ben's gone with the Mazda, I've gone with the Nissan.
Right, okay, let me just double check the figures then that I have found from extensive research on the internet. The Nissan Elgrand has a 76 litre fuel tank, resulting in a whopping 12.6 deaths.
Ouch.
If you attempted to drink that fuel tank. The Mazda Bongo Friendly, possibly the worst name ever given to, well, anything. That has a fuel tank capacity of 65 litres, which means 10.8 deaths will result from drinking the fuel tank of the Bongo Friendly. So, if you're in the market for a large, tons of people carrying thing from Japan that has a big thirsty engine and is basically pointless, but you want to burn your own house down and claim insurance money, buy a Nissan Elgrand. If you want something a bit smaller, buy a Mazda Bongo Friendly. But remember, burning your own house down to claim insurance money is actually illegal, so don't do it. But yeah, don't buy these cars either. Just get a minibus. And now for the scores. Robert King, 6. Benny Pierce, 3. That brings to an end this wonderful story of 3 men on an automotive podcast going off topic a lot. For now, we're going to say goodbye. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from them.
Bye. Goodbye.
Yeah, alright. Delayed reaction. If you've got anything to tell us, tweet us at Smooth Traffic, at the Jonny Edge, at Robert King ESQ, or at the Face of Ben. God knows why you'd want to tweet him. He's dull. And until next time, we'll catch. No, not really. Not really. His game show shit. Mine's brilliant, and that's the measure of a man, as far as I'm concerned. So until next time, we'll catch you very soon, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter just to keep up to date with everything. See you next time. Bye bye.